Hey guys, what's up? Uh, so the last video we stopped at this part of the tutorial and um, so before we really start, I just want to start the WebStorm, my code editor. So before we start and follow this tutorial, I suggest you hit the subscribe button below, so that in the next video you will be notified. And yeah, so you might also want to click the notification so that you will be notified on the progress that we are making. Okay, WebStorm already started, and I'll just open CMD first so that I can start the project. Uh, CMD. All right. CD node. All right. PM start. I'm just going to start the last project. Uh, then let's dive in. So for today, let's just finish this one until wrap up. So this is the final exercise. Okay. So the output would be um going back in time. So storing the stories of moves if imitated squares array implementing time travel would be variable. However, we slice to create a new copy with the squares array after every move and treated it as a immutable. I've been wondering what's really the meaning of this immutable and mutable, but maybe I'll come back to this one. I will hear more on this. So I think the project already started. Yeah, starting the development server. So I'll just continue reading. We'll store the past squares array number. The story represents all board states. Okay. Well, we'll have an history. We'll. Mm, okay. We will need another variable or so that we can get a history. All right. Now we need to decide which component should we own the history state. Lifting state up again. We want the top level game component to display a list of past moves. Yep, it will need access to the history to do that, so we will place the history state in the top level and placing history state into game components. Let us remove the squares from the state and child will. Just like we lifted state of our history component. Yep. When we move the state to which part of the code again? I think in the board, the same strategy. Okay. Yeah, yep. From the square, yep. I was right. So lifted state up from square component into the board component. Yep, we have done that one in the previous session. We are now lifting it up from the board. Lifting it from the board into the top level game component. Okay. So we'll be creating another game component. This one. Okay. So I think there will be a constructor. Alright. Uh, okay. Yep. First, we'll set up initial state of the game component within its constructor. So, okay, let's do that one. Constructor. It has props variable. Then every time in JavaScript, it needs to call super. Then we will create a state. This that state equals. This is gonna be an array. This is where we store the history. And history is an array of, wait, what's happening? State, yep, history. There's x next equals true. I'll just try to follow the tutorial first before I'll try to understand. Squares, yeah, where, so I think the goal is the same with what we have done here, because previously we had a state here, then we move it to the board. Now this thing here, we will move it to the game component, and this is what we are doing. Array 90. I think I'll just copy this one. Boom. Mm-hmm. Alright, I think we're done. So that's setting up the state, the initial state for the game component within its constructor. So what's next? Next, we'll have the board component receive squares. Board component receive squares. Board component receive squares. I'm not really sure how to do that. Next, we'll have the board component receive squares and on-click props from the game component. Since we now have a single click handler in board for mini squares, we'll need to pass the location of each square into on-click handler to indicate which square was clicked. Here are the required steps. Delete the constructor in the board. Yeah, I was correct that we will be removing this one. Replace this that states that square with props in the board square. This one. Replace this that states the squares I to this that props that squares I. Replace the handle click with props on click I. Okay. So I'll just try to do that one. I'll delete the constructor in the board, right? Yep. Then in render square, replace these little squares to these props. These props. Alright. Then handle click to the props that on click. Props that on click. Unresolved method. Props, okay. So let's see if I get it correctly. Render square was moved. I'll just try to copy what's the structure so that I get the same structure. This the trust the square. Squares. One click. Yep, I think I got it correctly. Alright, so we'll update the game components render function to use the most recent history entry in to determine the display of the game status. Game component. So the game component is below. Game component. History. I think I'm lost. Hmm. We'll update the game component render function to use the most recent history entry to determine the display and display the game status. Since the game component is not running the game set, we can remove the corresponding node from the board. My god, I don't know where to add this one. Next player, next player. I think here. History. Winner. Calculate winner. Yep, here. Counts. History. There's that state. That history. History. Done. Counts current equals history. The variable above equals history. That length minus one. Current. Current history. Yep, correct. This is the current history. Then let status um game board. Wait a minute. We'll update the game's component render function to use the most recent history. There's no game here. I think this is added in the game history. Game history. Here. Let status. I'll just copy if winner. Wait, where's winner? Winner equals calculate winner current dot squares. Awesome. That's a good trick. The same. What's doing here? Passing the squares. Okay. But here, what has been passed is the current history. Okay, I'll just continue. Winner status. Winner plus winner. Else status equals next player. Just that state that is next. X next. This is X. Then I'm not sure what this. Oh, oh. Alright. Now the status here. Status. This one. Is it here? Back. Then the board. I see. The board will pass the squares This is the property. I think I get it. What's property now? Then we'll use this one. Correct, right? Yep, same. Then on click, on click. Wow, new. I don't know what does that. I test that handle click. Then there's I. Hmm. I remember there's a handle click. Maybe this is. Oh, this. Wait. Handle click. I think this would be transferred also. Hmm. Just paste it there. Nah, it's okay. Since the component is now rendering the game status, we can remove the corresponding code from the render method and reference function. What? Since the game component is now rendering the game status, yep, game component, we can now remove the corresponding code from the board's render method. After refactoring, the board renders function look like this. The board. The board. There is no need for status here. There's no need for the status here. My god. My god. Board row. Alright, now it's done. I think there's no need for this one. Yep, there's no need for this one. It's been removed here. Alright, finally we need to move the handle click. Yep, we need to move the handle click method from the board component to the game component. We also need to modify the handle click because the game component state is structured differently. I see. Within the game component method, we concatenate the new history into the new history. Onto history. Okay. What's this? Oh, history. Okay. Where's that history? Squares. Oh, the same. History equals this dot props dot history. Right? Yep. Then counts current equals this dot oops history. Then history. I'm not really sure why it's this, but I think it's getting the current history for that one using the I variable. And square equals this one that current states. I think so. Current states, is it correct? Yep. Then squares x0 set the state. This one. This that state. It's concat the history here. Okay. I'll just do that one. History. History equals history. That concat. I think concat. That's how they do it. I'll just follow squares. Squares. Meaning this one. This variable. Okay. No need for that one. Squares. Unlike the array push method, you might be more familiar with the concat method. Doesn't mutate the original array, so we prefer it now. There's the muted again. I still need to study that one. What's really the meaning of that one? I think it's done. At this point, the board component only needs to render square and render methods. The game state and handle click method should be in the game component. Uh, okay. So I think there's no much changes. Oops. Length. Undefined. Good. Length. History. History. Undefined. Game. I'll just check what's the difference. So starting from the board, render square, props on click, this, that props, that on click. Okay, that's good I think. The render, there's no status. I think that's the only thing we change. Yeah, so there should be. Then let's go to the game. Game component, super props, this the state, history, this next through, yep, good, handle click, history, history, this history, let's see, yeah, it's working here, but not on our side. History that land, square, slice. Oh, I really wonder what's. Cannot read. Property length. Oh, undefined. Did I get the correct spelling? No. I think I got it right. For the concat, history, history.concat, squares. Yep, my god. In the render function, this dot state history.length, history.length. I think the same. Calculate current squares. No. Then here on click I, this handle click. I think we should be okay. I'll just resave and reload this one. No. Line 63. Line 63. 63. This one. Oh, undefined. This is the mistake I made. Should not be props but state because it's in the state. Should not be in define anymore. Yep, there's already an object. Oops. What's that? Squares of undefined. Squares? Squares. I'm just debugging because I hope there's a better way to debug this one, but this is what I normally do when I'm writing JS application, either console lag. Yep, it's really undefined. I wondered what's wrong here. Which part is that again? History, current the squares. Wait, which line again? Line 65. This area. Handle click. Handle click. Uh, Squares. Squares. Still undefined. Undefined. Cannot read property squares. Current. History. Current history. History that land current. Hmm. Can I just copy? It's really working. Hmm. What's wrong? My god, I think I'm really tired. I can't see what's wrong with my code. I'll just Google diff online. This one versus this one. Current difference. Okay, I'll just remove this one because it's the same. Oh, I can't really see what's wrong with my code. Right. Ah, my God. What's one? Why did I put I? Ah, I think I'm really tired of a. Okay, it's not working. Uh, Alright, so now it's the area of showing the past mode. Uh, since we are recording the Tic-Tac-Toe game history, we can now display to the player as a list of past mode. Yep, we learned earlier that React elements are first-class JavaScript objects. We can pass them around in our application to render multiple items in React. We can use an array of React elements in JavaScript map method that is commonly used for mapping data to another data. For example, this one map the map. What's happening here? 123 becomes times 2. Oh, this is nice. Okay, using the map method, we can map our history of mobs to React elements representing the button on screen and display a list of buttons to jump the past mob. Let's map over the history. Uh, uh, map render. I think that's here also. The winner. Wait, where's the status? Ah, okay. So here. So moves. Since we recorded the mobs in the history state, it says here that we need to use this one. Map, 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 and the 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 map. Step, step, then move. Then way. Ah. Okay. Cons deck equals move. Is it move? Then go to move number. Number what number? Number. Let's move. Else go to game start. Okay. Then we'll return list li return li boom. Then button. Then there's an unclick here. Unclick equals. I'll just copy this. That jump to move. All right. Then description. This variable. Just copy, paste. Close the button, and we're good. So this means that this will need to be created. Using the map method, we can map our history to mobs to React elements representing buttons on the screen and display a list of buttons to jump them the past moves. Okay. Uh, Here, what it does is it just multiplied it. But here, Yes, jump. Oh, I'll just proceed. So for each move in TikTok's game history, we created a lost item which contains a button. Yep, the button has an on-click handler which calls a method called to jump to. We haven't implemented jump to method yet. For now, we should see a list of moves. Okay, I'll just refresh this one. Oops, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Let's check the focal code. Ah, there's also warning. Oh, it's working here. In my case, it's not working. Oh my god. Warning, each child in a list should have a unique key. Game. Hmm, this one. It was not mentioned here. But this has it. Uh, yeah, it was not mentioned. But, and I didn't copy paste it. Okay, I'll just add it. Oh well, I'll need to add the moves. The moves here. Okay. Alright, game start. Not, oops. Yep, it's not yet defined. Alright, awesome. 10 moves. 10. Alright, awesome. That's good. Ah, so I guess I'll just stop for now because I think I'm missing a lot of information. Uh, I don't know, but I'm really tired today. But if you want to follow me in this journey, um, click the subscribe button below, and I'll continue this tomorrow and make sure to update you. That's it for now. Bye bye.